His name is Yannis Gourtsoyannis. He is a he deserves all the whooping, actually, because he's an absolutely key figure within the BMA Junior Doctors Executive Committee, and he has been crucial in ensuring that the debate around our contract stays firmly in its correct context, which is about austerity and privatisation.
Okay, so how am I going to follow the National Health Singers? Fantastic. I apologise, I'm not going to be breaking into song anytime soon. I'm going to update you about the present situation. So, over the last month, we have twice followed through on well-organised, orderly, national industrial action. And further action may well be on the horizon. Now, we're striking for the same reason that trade unions have gone on strike for throughout history. We're striking for a safe and fair contract, for a viable work-life balance, and crucially, in our role as NHS workers, we're striking for our patients' safety and for the ongoing viability of the NHS. In effect, our industrial action is an unprecedented form of mass whistleblowing by 50,000 junior doctors. And we are blowing the whistle on this government. Now, back in November 2015, 98% of junior doctors in England voted that they were prepared to take part in strike action. And in January and February, the vast majority of junior doctors who voted for strike action took strike action. We ran pickets and meet the doctors events at every major hospital throughout the country. And the public's response at the pickets was overwhelmingly positive. It was actually incredibly moving for us to experience. And what we experienced absolutely confounded the cynical claims repeatedly made by the media and by politicians that we would somehow lose public support if we followed through with industrial action. On the contrary, our resolve has gained us public support in poll after poll. And our natural allies, our fellow trade union allies, did not let us down when it came down to it. Not only did every major trade union in this country issue public statements of support for us, which is pretty unprecedented in itself, but local activists visited our pickets with a handshake and a smile. They brought their banners and they spoke out in support of us at spontaneous mini-rallies that occurred at many hospitals throughout England. And let's not forget, of course, that nursing students walked out for 1 hour in explicit solidarity with us and in defence of their NHS nursing bursary. So as you've heard, a few days ago, the Secretary of State for Health, Jeremy Hunt, announced in Parliament that he would impose the contract upon us. But this wasn't entirely unexpected. And actually, rather than being a purely negative development, actually represents a transition into a new phase in this struggle. A struggle now stripped of the doublespeak, which has been so prevalent throughout this dispute, because it's now clear this is a zero-sum game. Either they win or we win. And therefore, as a result of the intransigence of the Conservative Party, we, the BMA and the Conservative Party, are locked into a sequence of events, a sequence of potentially escalating events, which will likely continue into the spring, into the summer, even into the autumn. Now, evolving conditions will, of course, necessitate evolving plans. But one thing is for sure, the BMA has not and will not accept imposition, and we will prevent imposition. And I'm very proud of my union. My union's willingness to take a stand against this government is probably the single most positive thing that has occurred in NHS politics over the last few decades. The BMA is finally and honourably acting as the trade union that it was always capable of being. We doctors as a whole are realising that we are a crucial line of defence in a battle taking place on multiple fronts. And some of us are coming to the conclusion that we hold in our hands the fuse that could potentially ignite the wider health worker movement in a common defence of the NHS. I think it's obvious that this battle will not be won on the front pages of the national media. The front pages of most of the press in this country will remain hostile or ignorant and will misrepresent the causes of the contract dispute. Rather, this battle will be won in an entirely different forum. We will win this by being sincere in our arguments and taking those arguments directly to the British people, on the picket lines, at Meet the Doctors events, at events such as this. And the moment that these issues become a question of vital and urgent importance, not only to NHS staff or NHS campaigners, but to all concerned citizens, that's the moment when we will have won this. But let's not underestimate how much more work there is left to do. The forces ranged against the BMA are truly considerable. Jeremy Hunt's willfully misleading sound bites and his misuse of statistics are a problem, but they're actually probably the smallest part of the problem. Jeremy Hunt himself, in my view, is politically a dead man walking. He's a zombie politician. And he is ultimately dispensable. So if we have to focus on individuals, on the real culprits behind this whole debacle, we should focus on David Cameron and George Osborne. It is their politics of austerity which renders Jeremy Hunt as nothing more than a puppet. And let's not be under any illusions. The entire political economy of this country is and will be deployed against us. From the manufactured crisis in NHS funds and the ideology of austerity to the vociferous smears within the media, the BMA really does have its work cut out for it. But looking ahead to the next few months, I'm cautiously optimistic. I think we're doing well. In announcing imposition, this government as a whole has lashed out. It is showing its true face to the country. It's an act of desperation, it's overstepping itself. So the BMA at this moment is fulfilling a crucial societal role. We are the first real stumbling block encountered by this government in its relentless pursuit of austerity in the NHS. And it's going to be up to the British people to stand by us. It will be up to the wider trade union movement to step up to the plate. And it will be up to the Labour Party to begin to forcefully and unceasingly make the necessary political arguments. I'll close by mentioning, and you will hear more details about this later on, that we are, the People's Assembly, as well as many other associated organisations, are organising a hopefully truly massive and historic protest on the 16th of April, the March for Health, Homes, Jobs and Education. There will be a specific NHS block on that protest. I'll be there, many of my BMA colleagues will be there. It would be great if many of you could come there, and could you bring your friends as well and your colleagues. We need to stand together. Thanks for having me here. Thank you.